Well, I don't know where Mike is, but I'll get started. Welcome to Toilets to there he is. It's not organic for me to do it, so I'll let you do your thing. I didn't know if I had to cover for a second there.
Yeah, no, I don't know what the heck. My screen just wouldn't get off that handsome picture of Coach sitting on the intro. What is up, everybody? Welcome. It is Saturday night. You got the man Joe with me tonight. Dash of DFS for Toilets to Titles. Joe, how we doing this evening? What's going on, man?
Hey, man, ready to jump into week 4? We've only had one game so far this week, and we've had enough controversy within that game to be a whole week already. So, another typical week in the life of the NFL.
Dude, I tell you what, I guess if he already had the head injury and he was out there and he took another head injury, I don't know. It's pretty rough. It's definitely hard to watch even still. But Tua seems like he's a warrior. I imagine we'll be wondering why he's getting on the field again this weekend. If not, definitely next weekend. I think he'll definitely be back by then. Maybe not this weekend because people are getting fired and stuff like that. He might not. He might have to take a few weeks off after that obvious knockout. So everybody, make sure you follow us at toiletstotitles.com. We got the best articles, the best things in the league right there. I'm telling you, we got some great videos, some great content. Andrew does a heck of a job with that site. Definitely get a follow on Apple Podcast, a subscribe on YouTube, all that fun stuff. Hit the like button, subscribe, give us a 5-star review on the Apple, even if it's a bad review. Just give us a review. Go ahead and talk your trash. But just like I said, who wants to be a dick and go that way? And, of course, go on to the Patreon, patreon.com/toilets to titles. We got all kinds of crazy stuff on there. The $3 Discord, the $5 early access to waiver wire episodes. It just gets better from there. So all the way up to $20, we'll give you individual advice on any of your lineups. And we'll even do a show about your league if you guys want. Yeah, at this point, that kind of might not be as fun post-draft, but we can still talk smack. We can still have a good time. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. First off, I'd like to say a quick thank you to another guy who was on. I don't believe he was on Dash of DFS, but we'll definitely be missing him on the Blitz tomorrow as our man Alex has stepped away from the Toilets to Titles crew. Definitely going to miss him. Alex, definitely best of luck to you in the future. You will be missed, my man. It was definitely had a good time. And thanks for carrying us all the way back to this season. And so we're going to go ahead and start out. I'm going to go ahead and talk about quarterbacks that I am fading this week. Quarterbacks that I'm fading in DFS. And it was actually kind of hard because there was quite a few of them on this list that I was like, man, a lot of these guys have some pretty great matchups all the way down to the cheapest option, which is, I believe, Cooper Rush against Washington. I mean, Washington doesn't have that great of a passing defense. They just got shredded by the Eagles. So I was like, man, at 6,400, he might be a guy worth even grabbing. But the guy who really kind of stuck out to me was Zach Wilson. He faces the Pittsburgh Steelers coming back from a bad injury. I'm really worried about getting that guy in any of my lineups this week, redraft or otherwise. I want to see what he has getting back on the field. Let's see a full game out of this kid before we start him. And I'm definitely not starting him in DFS, even though that's an appetizing price, versus a defense that just isn't the same without TJ Watt. But at 6,500, I can definitely see why you'd want to go with that kind of route, but I'm definitely fading this guy. Joe, do you have anybody that you're fading this week that you're heavy not playing just because of situations or any other reason? They've let you down too many damn times this year. Anybody in that category?
What's funny, Mikey? I can't disagree with what you're talking about. I mean, even like a Ryan Tannehill's 5,500 on DraftKings, Daniel Jones 5,400 home against Chicago. He should probably be good for 20 points. So I can't disagree with anything you talked about a lot of good matchups and stuff. But here's I've got a completely different take on this one this week. Here's my bottom line on DraftKings, the 1 p.m. main slate, 12, 13 games, whatever it is. You got Josh Allen at 8,400, Lamar Jackson at 8,300, and Jalen Hurts at 8,200. You then got Kyler Murray at 76, and then Herbert's at 7,100. I'm fading them all except the top three. Listen, Allen, Jackson, and Hurts basically have been the best 3 players in fantasy football so far this year. Philly's home against Jacksonville. Baltimore's home against Buffalo. And Buffalo's obviously at Baltimore. Baltimore and Buffalo, 2 great teams who have not stopped anybody from a pass defense perspective so far. So you basically got the best 3 fantasy players with 3 favorable matchups I can't tell you I have a strong opinion between which one of those three, but for me, I'm going one of those big three. Allen, Jackson, or Hurts. We finally have some running back injuries that we can take advantage of, so I don't feel like you need to spend $9,000 on Jonathan Taylor this week. We've got some wideouts who are cheap that are really coming on strong, that are playing like number one wideouts. I feel like we can save money there. So I'm giving myself one of the top three QBs here, who, again, these are three guys who are just anchoring fantasy football in general, and I'm fading the rest of the field at 1 o'clock. I want to know I'm getting my 30 to 35 out of that QB position this week. But I see what you're saying.
It's funny because I'm a guy who, as you know, very rarely will I pay up for the quarterback position. Yeah. Like, you know how much I love Josh Allen, but there's very few times you'll see Josh Allen in my lineup. And this week, that's the guy who I'm actually premiering in my, and I'm very excited. I'm like, man,
coming off a loss.
Yeah, coming off a loss, coming off of an embarrassing loss that he caused. Like, I mean, there's no doubt about it. He definitely had an opportunity to pass that ball, and he didn't. And so I'm excited to get him back on the field. But yeah, he's definitely I'm with you. Every other quarterback in the league right there is bad news, bad situations. By comparison, like I said, I mean, they all have great situations, but they're not going to bring home the points. You're going to want to pay up for any one of three of those guys and enjoy. Like I said, you're
Bon appetit. Exactly. Did you see Michael Irvin on First Take this week talking about the Cowboy defense? He went chicken wing sauce.
Oh, I did not see that. That's too funny. That is awesome. I just realized that all my lights are out in this room.
Yeah, so you're a little Trent Reznor, 9 Inch Nails dark, but I thought maybe it was a thing tonight. I was going to go with
that's what it was. I was getting ready to play You Get Me Closer, but then I remembered all the copyright stuff and everything like that. And so then I decided I might as well turn on the light since I can't, This all kind of stems from there. Do you have anybody that you've been riding week after week so far? You're riding that wave, Joe. Who you got on your lineup this week that you just you can't quit? You got to keep playing them every day.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll forego the obvious ones, but maybe two of the cheaper guys that I'm just starting to feel really great about their consistency. Both wideouts. One, and they're actually kind of the same type of player, jack of all trades, really. One is Isaiah McKenzie in Buffalo. He's 5,100 this week on DraftKings. He went for 21 points last week, and I just love the run he's starting to get. Gabe Davis looks like he's questionable, maybe leaning towards doubtful. I don't know. So I like McKenzie even more in that situation. And then the other one, I've been talking about him. Jeff's been laughing at me. Everybody's laughing at me, but I'm going to keep on talking about him. Curtis Samuel. There it is. There it is. Buddy. Listen. Curtis Samuel out there in Washington, and I'm looking for him real quick just so I can give the right numbers. He's 5,700 on DraftKings. He went for 13 DraftKings points last week, and that was his first week under 20. He had another 7 catches, 10 targets, and 3 rushing attempts. So, I mean, the guy is getting as much run as anybody else in that offense. It's not a great matchup, but again, 5,700 Samuel, you get your 10-15 and it's worth the price there. So those are two guys a little bit under the radar, but they're not. And I'll give one more honorable mention just because Lamar Jackson's been so good. I can't believe that I'm even talking about this guy fantasy-wise, but Rashad Bateman can't be ignored at this point either. He's 5,600 on DraftKings, and, he's obviously got 2 touchdowns in the first 3 games so far this year.
Yeah, I've been really liking all 3 of those picks right there. Those are guys that I'm also featuring in a lot of my lineups this weekend. Rashad Bateman actually kind of still underneath the radar. So, I mean, I think you're going to see a lot of percentages possibly a little bit lower on him as opposed to possibly Curtis Samuel, who's got to be getting odds of respect. I don't understand why he's getting no price raises or anything like that, but I'm not going to question that either. It's one of those things.
And I'll tell you, just because it's you and me and we got some time, I'll give you 2 more and wideout. This is where I was going back to, hey, I'm going to spend the $8K on the quarterback this week, and here's why. Like, again, Romeo Doubs for the Packers. He's 4,500 on DraftKings, despite going for 21 and clearly being the guy for them last week. Again, only 4,500. And another one, and this one is a little more obvious, but here's the thing about this. Marquise Hollywood Brown. He's 6,900 on DraftKings, The guy went for 31 last week, 14 catches on 17 targets, 11 targets the week before. So he's got number one wideout production at 6,900, which is number two wideout cost. So again, if you're taking the expensive QB and running back, maybe you go Hollywood Brown as your number one wideout and save a few bucks there.
Yeah, I don't mind that either. He's another guy who actually I have to apologize about because I had him ranked so low this offseason because he just has a problem catching the ball. Well, apparently he had a problem just catching the ball from Lamar Jackson because he doesn't seem to have this issue going on with Kyler Murray right now. Those guys seem to have a really good connection, look really good together. I'm very curious to see how he ties in when DeAndre Hopkins hits back on the field. Because
take advantage of them now.
Guy up.
Take advantage of those 6 weeks now, right?
Well, I mean, but I feel like that could be a really good thing for DeAndre Hopkins to come on the field because that opens up your coverage.
That's true too.
To secondary and second and third best, maybe even worse. So I mean, but I like his situation a lot now. I'm with you there. I like Hollywood Brown a lot. A guy that I'm paying up for this week that I'm really excited about. Because I just keep watching this guy get so damn close and just not being able to pull it down, is Michael Pittman Jr. I know it's only $7,500 on FanDuel, paying up for him though, but it's because I paid up for the quarterback, so my pay ups are going to be a little bit lighter this week than they typically are. You know, the 9,000 for Jonathan Taylor, like you were saying, I felt like I could get better production. But Pittman's been solid past weeks. The past few weeks, he's been doing really good. And when he can stay on the field, he's getting the lion's share of the production. Matt Ryan seems to have a really good feel for him. And there doesn't seem to be a whole awful lot of other options on that team that they're throwing the ball to. So Michael Pittman's a guy I'm saying I feel like is worth paying up for sure. And then, like you said, I mean, and then Mike Williams is another guy who I feel like is going to be, especially Keenan Allen out again. He's going to be getting the targets fast. You got Justin Herbert, who came off another guy who came off an embarrassing loss last week. That's going to want to come out, and he's going to want to come out swinging. So those are two guys that I'm definitely going to be paying up for.
It's funny, real quick, Mikey, on DraftKings, this is really cool just based on what we just said. So on DraftKings, when you're going through the wideouts at 1 o'clock, 7,200 Pittman, 7,000 Mike Williams, 6,900 Hollywood Brown. The three guys, what we just talked about. So we're saying the same things, really, what we're doing. And I agree with Pittman and Williams. We're talking about three number one wideouts for their team this week. One reason or another, no Keenan Allen for the Chargers. Pittman's the number one anyways. Hollywood's the number one anyways with no Hopkins. We got three number one wideouts in three teams that can score the ball. And we're paying number two wideout value for them in all three cases. We had the same idea there. And I just think it's, I think this week, I'm not loving Diggs at the top at Baltimore for 8,400. I'm not loving Adams 8,300 home against Denver. I think you can just I think the Pittman Williams Brown is going to get you the same production. And you're talking about saving over $1,000. So being able to multiplicate those guys, like being able to put each one of those guys on your roster as opposed to him. And then like say a Christian Watson or something like that, the wide receiver too, possibly for the Green Bay Packers at 5,500 or something like that, because you really got to start saving money then because you paid up for both of those positions. So most definitely agree with that situation as well. So why don't you go ahead and fire out your lineup this week? Who you playing this week? What do you got on? You doing your DraftKings lineup? And let's and real quick too, like I alluded to it before, but I got excited about running backs this week just because we finally, I feel like, and I know we had Jeff Wilson Jr., I've guessed, for a couple of weeks, but other than him, I feel like this is the first week where we've really got some waiver wire fill-in running backs that are starting for their teams due to injury that you can really take advantage of from a price perspective. And the guys that I'm talking about, right off the bat are obviously, I always forget his first name, Jamal Williams for the Detroit Lions, no DeAndre Swift again. The crazy thing about Williams was he was producing with Swift on the field. As soon as Swift left last week, Williams went for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, another couple of receptions. So I love Jamal Williams at 6,100 for Detroit, home against Seattle. The 2022 Detroit Lions, it's a different team. They are fantasy relevant. Josh Reynolds is another one with no ramen noodle playing this week. I'm loving Josh Reynolds at 4,600 when you do have to get and take one of those shots, to get that cheap one in. I'm loving Josh Reynolds at 4,600 with ramen noodle playing. He went for 12 and 15 DraftKings points the last 2 weeks. So now that he clearly moves up the depth chart, I like Josh Reynolds too. So I'm ready to take advantage of the Lions. I'm ready to take advantage of Williams. And then obviously the other one on everybody's mind running back wise is Khalil Herbert for the Bears, who filling in for David Montgomery at the Giants. He's only 5,700. He went for 33 DraftKings points after Montgomery got hurt last week, 157 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. So it's nice when you can be excited. And I don't know how you feel about this, Mikey, but it's great when you can be excited about a couple of cheaper plays where you feel like those cheap plays, like you're feeling really good, you're going to get legit performances, because now what you're really saying is, now I just can't fuck it up at the top. As long as I get it right at the top, I feel really good about the shots I'm taking at 4,500, 5,000, 5,500 this week. I just can't mess it up at the top, if that makes sense.
Right. No, absolutely. Because your volume plays are there. You've got your volume plays in place. These guys are going to be getting the football. These guys are going to be getting the football a lot. Now, whether or not they're talented enough to be able to do anything with it, that's always the trick. But when we've seen it week in and week out with these guys proving that they can do what they can do, it's hard not to get excited about it. Like I said, like this week, I actually get to play Josh Allen because of guys like Jamal Williams and things like that, because I'm able to get him in there. There's still, I just don't understand. That guy should be skyrocketing. Although on FanDuel, to be fair, he is 7,300. So that is actually pretty expensive for a backup running back in the situation, but he's definitely not playing like a backup. He's playing like the RB1 on that team. And especially, like I said, with Swift out, with the sun god out, it's going to be a real good opportunity for him to see a lot of targets. I love Josh Reynolds at 4,600. Man, that's a steal.
What's Herbert
steal
on FanDuel, if you don't mind me asking?
Herbert
not to put you on the spot.
Oh no, it's okay. We're ready to be on the spot as far as that goes. Herbert's $8,000. So at Houston.
So real quick, and we've talked about this before, right? Like, play both sites. Herbert's $8,000 on FanDuel, but only 5,700 on DraftKings. So wow. If you're playing both sites, don't play him on FanDuel. Play him on DraftKings. Go with Williams or whoever else on FanDuel, because that's a crazy difference. That difference, if to scale, that difference should be about $600. So anything over 1,000, and there's a strategic difference there, that is worth jumping on one way or the other.
Yeah, you almost can't pass them up at that price on DraftKings. I understand. I understand you didn't get the productivity out of him that you wanted to get last week. But come on now, you got to know that was kind of a fluke week. He shouldn't even have been playing. They doped him up. He came out there trying to stay uninjured. It looks like he'll be back to about pure form this week. So I really like seeing Herbert out there on the field. So, okay,
all right, man, here we go.
Let's go ahead and kick in our – is that a binaural shirt, by the way?
No. Oh, I love you, man. Avocado. It's the self-titled. Couple after binaural. But you're a good man.
Okay. Maybe it's because of the album that I saw, but nope, you're right. I knew it was a Pearl Jam album at the very least.
Very good. I like that. See, now I'm smiling.
Yeah.
Look at that. All right, here we go. DraftKings main slate, Millionaire Maker, $20 tournament lineup. Lamar Jackson, 8,300. Again, Josh Allen's 8,400. Hurts is 82. I'm going to take Lamar. He's got those 100-yard rushing days, plus he's throwing too. It's hard to resist. Running backs, the guys we talked about. Again, we're going to take advantage finally of some, we don't love injuries. We don't root for injuries, but if they can help us make some extra cash, we're okay with that. Jamal Williams, 6,100. Detroit home against Seattle. He was producing with DeAndre Swift playing. It just feels like a no-brainer. Khalil Herbert, 5,700. The Bears at the Giants. The guy went for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns against Houston last week once Montgomery went down. Michael Pittman Jr., 7,200. He's my wide receiver anchor home against Tennessee. I think he's going to just consistently be the number one there. And, I'm looking for 100 yards and a TD there. The other 5,800, Devonta Smith, the Eagles. He had that. He laid the goose egg week 1. He's gone for 15 for 249 and a touchdown in the 2 weeks since. They're home against Jacksonville. They're banging on all cylinders. Then we're going to go our cheap play of the week. Josh Reynolds, 4,600, Detroit, home against Seattle. Reynolds is in double-digit points the last 2 weeks. He's got 9 catches for $134 and a touchdown. He moves up the depth charts with St. Brown out. So we like Josh Reynolds. We're going to keep on riding Tyler Conklin at tight end for the Jets. Talk about riding a wave. Conklin's got double-digit points all 3 weeks so far. It's gone for 18 catches, about 150 yards and a TD. He's been the security blanket there for Mr. Flacco. We talked about Isaiah McKenzie. We're flexing him this week, 5,100, home against Baltimore. He went for 21 last week, 776 and a TD. Also had a rushing attempt. You just feel like Buffalo's getting him more and more involved each week, and that game is lining up to be the highest scoring game of the week. And then, listen, I'm a Giants fan, and the main thing I took away from that game Monday night is the Cowboys have a good defense. And now they are home, all amped up, with some momentum against Carson Wentz and those Washington Commanders. As much as I love what Wentz is doing on the positive side of fantasy football, on the negative side of fantasy football, he's going to turn the ball over. The Cowboy defense is going to be there to reap the benefits. They're only 3,500, and that is lineup number 1 of the week, my friend. What do you got on FanDuel?
So I'm with you as far as that guy. We talked about the quarterbacks, but my guy's Josh Allen. He's 8,900 on FanDuel. Wonderful price. That's less than 10 grand. He should be 10 grand against this Baltimore defense that has just been plagued with injury. Their safeties aren't starting still. And so get him in there. He'll be bombing it to guys like Isaiah McKenzie, who I actually have in my lineup as well. But Breece Hall's another guy that I've had my eyeballs on. He's been looking like he's been getting more and more productivity every single week. I like what I've seen out of him out of the first couple of weeks, and I think he's probably going to take a dominating role in this matchup against Pittsburgh, who's 27th against the run. Give me some Breece Hall action. Jamal Williams, of course, against Seattle. Seattle's trash. They're so easy to run against. They're so easy to pass against. They're just not a good football team. Jamal Williams ought to have a feast, especially with all the injury opportunity that he has right there. And then the next one is so Isaiah McKenzie leading off my receivers at Buffalo, Baltimore, getting that Josh Allen stack there. Curtis Samuel, a guy that I just can't ignore, man. The guy's just been on fire, averaging 15 points a game on FanDuel as well. 6,200. They're not going to respect him. I'm not going to disrespect him. I'm going to play him. I got Michael Pittman Jr. as well at 7,500. He's again at home versus Tennessee. He's been looking good. He's been looking consistent. I don't see this guy being less than 15 points. I put him closer to around 20, 25 in that market. Tight end, although I do love what I've been seeing out of Conklin, I'm playing me some Njoku. Atlanta is the second worst defense against tight ends. And Njoku has been on fire. Last week, I think he had 2 touchdowns. I think he just continues this streak of good targets, good catches, good touchdowns. I think he's a solid lock for this week. Mike Williams at Houston. I think, like I said, I think that the Chargers have themselves a bounce-back game against Houston. Mike Williams has been just hot, and especially when you got Keenan Allen off the field. Give me Mike Williams every single time. And it's funny because you said you're a Giants fan, so I thought you were going to say, the one thing I respect is the defense. And I thought you were going to go with the New York Giants defense, who I'm going with because I kind of like any defense that's playing Chicago. Anytime I got a defense that I can stack up against Chicago, I really don't care about the price. I know that the turnovers are probably going to be there, at least 2 or 3 of them. So I'm there every single time. So I've got the Giants. And wow, Clemson just scored. That was a good score.
I'll tell you what, man, I feel so good when there's overlap like that. And even like Njoku, I've got in my other lineup. Bryce Hall are the same. I love the overlap we have. That always affords me a little more confidence going into the thing. I should say real quick too, just because we're doing all right time-wise, the injuries this week are crazy. And, we're obviously talking about some of the running back injuries, but just as a quick high level, Michael Thomas, Hunter Renfrow, Jameis Williams, Winston, Amon St. Ramen Noodle Brown, Sterling Shepard, obviously, Dak Prescott, Tua, Keenan Allen, Myles Garrett, DeAndre Swift, Mac Jones, all guys out this week. So, whether it's the guys we talked about today, or you want to, whether you're talking about a Palmer and the Chargers who's going to play because of the Keenan Allen injury, there are injury plays all over the place this week to take advantage of from a salary cap perspective. So, play that injury wire tomorrow morning is the key to this week, it feels like already.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's going to be one of the great points to take away from this is make sure you get on at 10:30. If you haven't liked and subscribed us yet, like and subscribe us. Hit that bell so you're notified every single time that Toilets Titles goes live, because we go live at 10:30 in the morning. We can answer all your start-sit questions. And you got me and Joe on the show. So, I mean, if you want to get on there and ask some DFS questions, we're there for you. We're the DFS guys for the show, as well as Jeff, who, like I said, when I said Alex will be stepping down, Jeff will be stepping up. So it'll be the Dash of DFS crew basically infiltrating in on the Blitz crew, which is going to be me, George, and Jason that are left on that little regime there. So it'll be nice to have all five of us there. And like I said, so, I mean, you'll have the majority of the Dash of DFS. So we'll just tell those guys, shut your mouth. It's DFS talk time. This guy has a DFS question. So make sure you get on there. You ask your questions, because that's what we're here for. We enjoy we enjoy answering them, and we especially enjoy answering them live. Joe, do you got anything to add before we go ahead and take off this evening?
I would just like to, I just hope that week 4 is the first week I can have a couple of lineups out there and none of the guys have an in-game injury. Whether it happened last week again with Montgomery, Swift a little bit. It's just give me one lineup that can just make it through a week.
We're having conversation about top 10 if Montgomery doesn't go down last week. I tell you what, man, that one hurt so bad. When he went down, I'm like, no, because all the rest of my guys played solid big games, had great numbers. And because I even had Jamal Williams in last week. That was the guy who I was like,
I remember that. Jeff did too. I think both you and Jeff were playing him. And what a hell of a play.
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, and it paid off, but it didn't, because I also had David Montgomery. So it didn't pay off for anything. It just put you at that one level where you only get to watch your number go up when you hit where's the cash line at? You're like, oh man, I missed it by 4 points or something like that, something simple play like that. But excellent, guys. Once again, follow us, toiletstitles.com. Best articles in the industry, best writers in the game. You're not going to find any better. There's so many good things on there. Make sure you get on the Patreon. We'd like to thank you, all the Patreon supporters. Make sure you get on there. $3, a $2 team chat, $5 early access to the Waiver Wire show, which the Waiver Wire show is great. I'm telling you what, I, as a guy who gets to get in on that early, man, I tell you, the Waiver Wire ads I've had this year have been league changers. I mean, it's just straight league changers. It's been fantastic, especially like guys like Khalil Herbert, who I had a couple of weeks ago, because they were saying, this guy's not only a good handcuff, he's also very productive. You could actually flex him prior to getting on there. So make sure you get on that Patreon, get on the Discord, all kinds of fun stuff. Hit that like, subscribe button, hit the bell, get that 5-star Apple review in there. Once again, even if you don't like us, tell us why you don't like us, but still give us that 5-star review, because it really helps us go a long way with the Apple podcast and everything like that. And unless you really just are like, man, I do not want to spread these guys around. I do not want this great word to get out, but I promise you're going to want to get this out, because we got the best in the game here. Joe, thank you once again, man. Another great week, another great, looks like great DFS slate. We will see you again. 10:30 a.m. in the morning, but we will see you again on the Dash of DFS, of course, same bat time, same bat channel. And we'll have our man, Jeff, real quick. Shout out to our man, Jeff. I hope he's doing okay. It looked like he got
flooded in South Carolina.
Yeah, got affected by that Hurricane Ian as well, man. It wiped out quite a few of my good friends out there. So you're in our thoughts, you're in our prayers. We definitely anything, there's a lot of people on here. I'm close enough to drive. Hit me up on the side, hit me up on the DMs, and we'll they don't call me Dirty Jobs for nothing. We'll get down, we'll get right with it, and we'll help you out. So anything that we can do to help out, definitely let us know. Thanks again. And once again, thanks, Joe. And we'll see everybody on the flip side. Again, I can't wait already. 10:30 in the morning. We'll see you then. And you guys have a good
I love it. The only Toilets to Title show that can stick to 30 minutes a week. You're on mute. You're on mute. You're still on mute. You're on mute.